Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here tonight, tomorrow, today, whatever you happen to be listening to this. My name's Aaron, and this is the New Tulsa Sound Podcast. And tonight, my guests are Hurricane Mason. Everybody say hey.
Hey.
All right. So tonight we're going to talk about some of the veteran rockers in the Tulsa scene, and they're going to clue us in on what they've been doing, what they did before, and what they plan to do next. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We'll start over here with you, man.
Matt Mason, guitars and vocals.
Sean Montgomery, drums and various noises.
Tracy Bull, bass.
All right. So I'll start with a question that I already primed you guys with, I guess. It's kind of our rock and roll all night on this show so far. To what's your favorite album?
Physical Graffiti.
Physical Graffiti. That is a good
Led
choice.
Zeppelin.
That is a
It's a
good
double
choice.
album, so. I didn't mean to step on you there, man.
I gotta go hard then. Power Slave.
Let everybody know who it's by.
Iron Maiden.
All right. You got to remember, there's just all kinds of people listening.
Yeah.
And a cat.
And a cat.
Who's
A couple of
noisy?
birds, too.
Yes.
Really pretty parakeets. I like those.
All right, man. What about you, man?
Favorite record? Man, I don't, what day is it?
Well, you got to
Well,
get today's answer.
That's true.
Today's answer, I've been doing kind of like what they call going back to the well. And, there's certain people that, inspired you for one way or another, one time or another in your journey along the music thing. And,
He said journey.
today it might be Joe Walsh Day, Frank Marino Day, just those great 70s rockers, Buck Dharma, Trower, any of those guys like that. So that's today. Tomorrow it might be Emilio Harris. The next day it might be Ricky Skaggs, Roy Clark. I love them all, I just gotten to the point now where it's just all music's good, most of it, and the other stuff you can kind of recognize. And the long and short of it, I guess.
Question was, what was your favorite album?
I don't know that we're going to accept that answer. We may come back to it later. We may come back to that later.
That's a politician answer.
That was
Boy,
a
that was
politician's
some-
answer if I ever heard one. It's not that hard. My favorite album of all time, hands down, is Exile on Main Street by the Rolling Stones.
That'd be a contender.
It's-
But, is it better
Good one.
than Rockin' the Fillmore by Humble Pie?
I think that Exile on Main Street is my favorite album because there's everything you could ever want to feel in life on that record.
I agree with you, but I say the same about Rockin' the Fillmore by Humble Pie, or
Yeah, that's true.
Frampton Comes Alive, or Dark Side of the Moon. Or,
That's just that one that hits me that right way. Because, I might go to Dark Side of the Moon, and there's some days where there's a track on that record that I skip. But if any song from Exile comes on, we're going to switch to that record and we're going to listen to the whole damn thing.
The whole record.
Yeah,
I'm the same way.
it's
Absolutely.
wrong if you didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just me. That's the one that hits me that way. We had Roger on here the first episode, and Roger is younger than you guys, older than me though, and which everybody's older than me. But his two were a record by the Mighty Giants and a record by Bare Naked Ladies. And
Nice.
he's in a country band. It's we all get hit a little differently. So
I kind of see that.
and then Martin narrowed it down to one single from the 70s by the Small Faces, Little Tin Soldier. So
Wow.
some people are super definite like that. But Martin just.
I couldn't do that.
He's that kind of guy, man. If you guys haven't listened to that episode yet, and if anybody out there listening hasn't listened to it yet,
I listened to it.
do it, because it's crazy just listening to not just his life story, but the way he looks at things in a totally different way than anyone else I've ever met.
It was entertaining. That's what made me call you.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, everybody out there that doesn't know yet has to want to know, what's the deal? When'd you get together? How did this start? What's the history of Hurricane Mason?
Wow, man.
You take as long as you want. It's digital. We ain't gonna run out of tape.
Okay. So, why don't Tracy answer this one?
Well, okay, yeah. So we got together. So me and Matt have been together for a long time. Like we were little, we grew up together.
We takes.
First grade to graduation. Played
Yeah, something like that.
You know, so we just kind of got to a point where we were, looking for something to get our hands into, and timing was good, and one of our best friends got married in 98, and we were at the wedding, and we just kind of hit it off, and just kind of thought, why not? We put together, a band, and Hurricane Mason just evolved. We've been playing for so many years, from way back from Windjammers, different bands over different amounts of time. So for us, it's just natural for us to just kind of get back into it and start doing that. We went through a few drummers in the past. And
so this is like in the years like 1998 to 2001.
Long time ago. When you put it in perspective.
And so you're coming up on your 20th anniversary next year, is what you're saying.
That's correct.
Which puts me back as being the new guy again.
Well, not so much that way, but...
Sort of.
So, 2001, or so, 2001, it was beginning to get so big that, I have family and kids, and, I just felt like I needed to get off of the road and get off doing the band, not to leave Matt just high and dry. He kind of had a forewarning, and I hated to have to do that, but I had some responsibilities, and so that was where I kind of exited after Cast Iron Constitution album, or the first debut album, and then they took over from there.
So from there, I was pretty much like playing with all sorts of different rhythm sections. I had a couple of brothers from Muskogee. They were both paramedics. The Cates brothers from Muskogee.
Yeah,
and
that's who I first saw you with.
Yeah, and those guys, they were fun, and it was hard to get them together because they both had these crazy paramedic schedules. And it was like, I remember practicing like 9 a.m. on Sunday morning after an all-nighter, this was rough. So then, I played with them, and I had a bunch of different rhythm sections, and then I met Sean probably through a friend of mine, and he'd been playing with this band Sod a few years before that, so he wasn't really doing anything. So I was like, well, let's jam. I want to do these songs. I want to do this, Cast Iron Constitution album and get something out there. And, just trying to find some people that were sort of serious enough about it and wanted to do some recording and playing some gigs where you played some cover tunes and actually could make some money. And so Sean and I and Tracy recorded this album, having never played any gigs together, really. Never really, done anything besides record the album. So it was really kind of a unique situation, but we made it work. And I mean, it's not... I'm still proud of it. It took a lot to get that together. And, it was like a big milestone to get that out there where it's, an actual proper release in the channels of, all the things that were available at the time. And so I felt like, my goals were pretty humble, really. And so it did what it was supposed to do. And, we got nominated for Best Blues Album, I believe, by the Tulsa World. We didn't win, but, we're not really a blues band.
We're not a blues band, no.
So then from there, Sean and I went out and
jazz blues.
We got we played with at least 12 different bass players that we can remember. And so
might have been a few more. I don't know really.
There was some of them I can't really remember what their names are, but from about 2002 till about 2004, I guess it was 2003. We were just kind of freelancing around with anybody we could get. It might be Kevin Flint, might be Mike Hughes, might be,
Whoever Golden Fingers was, the kid.
What was that guy? What was his name?
I can't remember. I saw him at a Bela Fleck.
Justin
Justin
I think it
something.
was.
Bela Fleck.
Yeah, he was a lot younger. Played fretless, which wasn't really what we were looking for.
He was
Anyway.
totally into jazz.
Yeah, he was bored by this. He wanted to play Bela Fleck and stuff. So
Yeah, he couldn't play Black Sabbath worth a damn, but he'd play shit out of some.
oh man, it was
jazz.
crazy. So then we got Ron Martin, and Ron was a 5-stringer who I saw playing with Flash Terry years before, and I was like, that was pretty cool. You know, he came on as a full-time guy, and so we did It's Only Miles, the second album, with him on bass, and then he introduced us to his friend Les Morman, who was our audio engineer / recording nerd on staff, as it were. And so he was as good. He was much into the recording and the technology as we were trying to get a second stab at trying to make another album that sort of.
And we learned a lot from those guys, actually.
Sure did.
Just the experience and, just studio experience and their experience, because they were like probably 10 years beyond us. I mean, we were kids, so.
So Les and I went out to California
Helped a lot.
and mixed that It's Only Miles, and that won Best Local Produced Independent by the Urban Tulsa, which, that felt pretty good. There's a lot of pretty good independent records that
Lots
even
of
then
competition out there.
were being made in Tulsa, and, the readers of one of the most well-read magazines voted that album as the best, whatever that means, but, it feels good to be recognized in your hometown, So then we did that, and then let's see, Ron was kind of having some issues, and Ace was kind of like seeing us struggle and seeing us go through all these things and kind of understand what we were doing, and so that's when we started kind of playing with Ace about New Year's Eve of 2006. Ace joined the band, Ace Eversole on bass. And so, oddly enough, Tracy and I, when we were in this garage van in probably 7th or 8th grade, we kind of became aware of Ace in this band he was in, Flax and Harlot. So we're out there jacking around, making all this noise, and my folks come out there with the paper, and they're like, hey, look at this band from Tulsa playing at Kane's Ballroom. So all these years fast forward, here's this guy hitting me up on the Tulsa band website or whatever. He's like, hey, I see you guys are out there playing and doing records and everything else. I think I can help you out. And I just, man, how many times do you hear I can help you out from people? A lot of times it's just, you're just not too sure what to make of it.
Right.
And so I figured out who he was, and I was like, okay, I think maybe this guy can help me out. Maybe he can show me the way to make these songs a little more user-friendly and be able to perform for an audience and just, sort of knock some of the corners off what we were doing before, And,
you introduced me to him at a government meal show at the Canes, I believe. It was after the show.
Yeah.
And weird. I mean, that was a foggy night for sure. I'm surprised I remember that. But I think it's the first time I met Ace.
So that must have been 2005.
Had to have been.
Because he started playing with us that Thursday night gig that we had up downtown. Remember the Jam and the Hotel?
Mm-hmm.
He was doing that, and then
He's
Ron
also
was playing
doing
on weekend gigs.
He's also doing Harleys with us.
Yeah.
That little...
Because Ron worked during the week, and so he was playing during the week gigs, and then he was like, wait a second here, I mean, I'm putting all this work into this, we need to make this a big deal, so he played with us, and man, we got tighter on stuff, we, worked our show up, it's just a lot about thinking and attitude, too, it's like, if you have an attitude just good enough and whatever, I mean, it's hard to go anywhere, and I mean, I know that, like, human nature is to get somewhere comfortable and stay there, but I find it really stifling. I like to go forward if I can. And, life sometimes gets in the way, but you just got to keep pushing. You just got to keep evolving. You just got to keep doing something new and different and interesting. If nothing else, just to keep your own self entertained, I mean, if you're entertained on stage, and people respond to that a lot differently than they do when you're up there just going through the motions, So Ace, he guided us through a lot of rough waters and a lot of great waters too, man. We had some of the best years, with him at the helm, things that we hadn't been able to accomplish all of a sudden were a reality. If you would have told me when I was in 10th grade that I'd been playing Kane's Ballroom on my Gibson Firebird opening up for Robin Trower, I would have told you were crazy. Because